The Blake Tower penthouse sparkled like a palace, glass walls, golden chandeliers, and marble floors polished to perfection. But despite its grandeur, it felt empty. Just one man lived there, Ethan Blake, the city's youngest billionaire. Ethan was the type of man who controlled everything: markets, meetings, and people's fears. His name alone made employees straighten their backs and watch their words. He didn't smile. He didn't joke. He didn't forgive mistakes. People called him the Ice King. He built his empire from nothing, sleeping in offices, eating instant noodles while working 20 hours a day. And now, at 34, he owned half the skyline. But power came with a price: loneliness. He told himself he didn't need anyone. But sometimes, when the lights of the city blinked below him, he wondered what all that success was really for. Earlier that week, his assistant had mentioned the new maid. "Sir, the new hire, her name's Lena. She's, well, different." Ethan frowned. "Different how?" "She doesn't talk much. Doesn't gossip like the others. She's shy. But she watches you. Like she's worried about you." Ethan chuckled coldly. "Worried? I don't pay her to worry. I pay her to clean." Still, the idea stuck in his mind. People didn't worry about him. They feared him, obeyed him, or wanted something from him. What could a maid, a quiet, nervous one at that, possibly see in him to worry about? The next evening, after a brutal 16-hour day and 3 boardroom arguments, Ethan came home. The penthouse was spotless, as always. But something about the air felt different, softer. On the kitchen counter, he noticed a mug of hot chamomile tea waiting, his favorite, though he hadn't told anyone that detail in years. Beside it lay a small note in delicate handwriting. "For sleepless nights. Take care, Sir. L." He stared at it for a long moment before tossing it into the trash. He didn't like being studied. That night, as his butler cleared the dining table, Ethan said calmly, "Tomorrow, I want you to give Lena the late shift. Alone. I'll be in the lounge." The butler looked puzzled but obeyed. Ethan never explained himself. He was planning a test. He wanted to see what the quiet maid would do when no one was watching. Would she snoop around, steal, relax when she thought the boss was asleep? He'd seen it all before: false loyalty, fake smiles. He wanted to catch the truth. The next evening came. The sky outside was a stormy silver, lightning flickering in the distance. Inside, the penthouse glowed warm and still. Ethan sat on his long leather couch, laptop open, reading reports. The city lights reflected in the glass wall behind him, making him look like a shadow among skyscrapers. At 11 p.m. sharp, he set his plan in motion. He loosened his tie, leaned back, and closed his eyes, pretending to fall asleep. His breathing slowed. His head tilted to the side. His phone and wallet lay beside him, bait for curiosity. Minutes passed. The only sound was the rain tapping on the windows. Then, the faint creak of the door. She entered. Lena was small, maybe in her mid-20s, wearing a simple gray uniform and a white apron. Her hair was neatly tied back, though a few strands fell softly across her face. Her shoes made almost no sound on the marble floor. She stopped when she saw him on the couch. For a moment, she froze, unsure whether to proceed. Then, quietly, she stepped closer. Her eyes softened when she saw the dark circles under his closed eyes, the exhaustion in his posture. She whispered to herself, "You must be so tired, sir." Her voice was barely a breath, but Ethan heard it. He felt her presence near him, light and careful. The scent of lavender soap drifted faintly through the air. She bent down and picked up one of the papers that had slipped from his hand. Instead of reading it, she stacked it neatly with the others. Then, she noticed the blanket that had fallen halfway off the couch. Gently, she lifted it and placed it back over his shoulders, smoothing it with both hands so it wouldn't wrinkle. Her movements were slow, not mechanical, not forced, but caring, like someone touching something precious. Ethan could feel his heartbeat rising. No one had touched him with kindness in years. She stood there for a few seconds, just watching him. Then, she reached into her apron pocket and pulled out a small, folded piece of paper. Carefully, she placed it on the table beside him. She whispered again, almost like a secret, "You forget to eat sometimes, please eat tomorrow, sir." Ethan's chest tightened. He wanted to open his eyes, to say something, but he couldn't move. His pride held him frozen. Lena turned to leave, but then, she stopped. She turned back, kneeled quietly beside the couch, and clasped her hands together. Her head bowed. For a few moments, there was only silence. Then, she spoke softly, as if speaking to someone unseen. "Dear God," she whispered, "please help him rest. He looks like he's fighting something inside. I don't know what, but, please remind him he's human too. He deserves peace." The words hit him like lightning. No one had ever prayed for him. Not his board members. Not his lovers. Not even himself. He felt a lump in his throat. The sound of rain faded. The whole world seemed to shrink down to that one moment, a quiet prayer from a maid who didn't owe him anything. When she finished, she smiled faintly, wiped her eyes, and whispered, "Good night, sir." Then she walked away, softly closing the door behind her. Ethan lay there, eyes still closed, his mind racing. He opened them slowly, staring at the paper she'd left. It read in gentle, uneven handwriting. "Please eat properly tomorrow. Even strong people need care." His fingers trembled as he held it. For a man who owned everything, he suddenly felt like he had nothing. And yet, that one note, that one act of quiet kindness, made him feel something he hadn't felt in years, seen. He sat up, staring at the door she'd exited through, his voice barely a whisper. Why would she care? Outside, thunder rumbled. But inside, Ethan Blake's frozen heart had begun, ever so slightly, to thaw. The next morning, sunlight spilled through the penthouse windows, warm and golden, but Ethan Blake didn't feel warmth. He sat at his desk, the note she left beside his coffee cup. Even strong people need care. He'd read it 5 times already. Each time, it hit harder. He was supposed to be untouchable, yet last night, a single prayer from a maid had shattered his armor. He couldn't stop wondering why. Why would someone care for him like that, someone who barely knew him? So he did what powerful men do when they don't understand something. He ordered an investigation. Find everything about Lena, where she's from, her family, her past. Hours later, his assistant brought a file. Ethan opened it casually at first, then froze. Ethan's pulse stopped. He remembered that name. Henry Brooks had been one of his workers, a quiet man who died after an accident on one of Ethan's building sites 5 years ago. The company had denied compensation back then, a decision Ethan himself had signed off on to avoid legal delays. He closed the file slowly, shame twisting in his stomach. Lena wasn't just any maid. She was the daughter of the man whose life had been ruined under his empire. And she knew. She had to know. That night, he couldn't sit still. Every corner of the penthouse felt heavier now, the marble, the glass, the silence. Everything echoed guilt. When Lena entered quietly to clean, Ethan finally spoke. "Lena," he said softly. "Why didn't you tell me who you were?" She froze, her hands trembling. "Because, it doesn't matter anymore, sir. It matters to me," he said. His voice cracked, surprising even himself. "Your father, he worked for me. I failed him. And you still prayed for me." Tears filled her eyes, but she smiled, gentle and sad. "My father used to say, don't let anger make you like the people who hurt you." He believed forgiveness is strength. Ethan felt something break inside him, not pain, but release. Years of pride, of power, of pretending he didn't care, it all dissolved under her words. He whispered, "I'm sorry." Lena nodded softly. "Then you've already changed, sir." When she left the room, Ethan stood at the window for a long time, watching the city he had conquered, and for the first time, realizing how empty victory felt without humanity. That night, he didn't pretend to sleep. He sat on the same couch, the same blanket across his lap, whispering her prayer. "God, please help me find peace." The billionaire who once tested a maid had finally been tested by kindness, and lost beautifully. Heart.